Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, and because it's Tremendous Tuesday, Dakar lovers, and welcome to day 3 of Raceday.tv's coverage and a look behind the scenes of Dakar 2020, episode 3, the Saudi edition. You will notice we have the tallest racing driver, rallyist, off-road man, superstar, motor mouse in the entire world, Evan Hutchinson. Thank you very much for joining us. Gary, it's going to be a good show. Evan, are you good? You back from holiday?
Just got back, fresh, ready for the year.
You're smelling very fresh, looking
Very
fresh.
energized, clean shaven, nice tan, strong.
Yeah, are you strong like
Strong.
You haven't got a tan?
I have got a tan, man.
Yeah, okay.
You've been outside.
Yeah, well, I work outside. So, Dakar 2010. It was day 3 today. There was lots of fun and games. There was some punches because, well, it's Dakar in Saudi, and we're going to talk a little bit about tyres. We had a question hung over from yesterday, Gary. I forget who it came from about tyres. We're going to talk about that. Bikes, drama in the bikes after South Africa's, Southern African, Botswana's Ross Branch, the Kalahari Ferrari, won yesterday. He didn't do so much winning today. And the cars was very interesting. Big shake-up at the top of the bikes as well, because the orange, it's orange and red and blue and white. So today was a loop, Naum to Naum. 427 Ks in total, and there was about a 70K liaison at the end. And so the bottom line of it, what actually happened? Should we talk about the bikes first? Ricky Brabeck finally starts coming good. Oh, before we go anywhere, if you've got any questions, queries, comments, things you'd like to know, stuff you'd like to ask Evan. Evan is a man of cross-country racing, of rallying, of man of adventure. Am I right?
Yeah. Not too much Dakaring, but we were there last year, so got a good taste. I'm sure we'll be able to answer a couple of questions, and I've been following it for the few days it's been running. So.
And you've got a hotline to some people there?
A few people, yeah.
You know people, and your people know other people.
And
so
those people are there, which is important.
That's the big thing. And
correct, yeah.
Wouldn't we all love to be there? But
next year.
Budgets?
Next year.
Yeah, for sure. We've kind of had an internal discussion as well. And the 600,000 rondellas, because it's part of the expense of going to cover Dakar is that you need to buy
an entry.
Yeah, you buy an entry, and as a journalist, here's the trick. As a competitor or as part of a team, I think the fee is 10,000 euro, but as a journalist, you can get in there 3,000 euro if you choose the right package. So much as I hate, not a journalist, a member of the press, okay. Because I hate the word journalist. I don't want to be classed as a journalist.
Correct.
I'm a talker. So yeah, that's a huge ambition. Gary, bikes, Honda, 1, 2, 3, boom.
Boom, yes. And then of course we have the KTMs. And we've even got a Shirka in the top 10. And then obviously the South Africans come in. So we have Ross Branch, who managed to come home after falling off his bike. And I got a bit of a statement from him. I'm just going to read it to you guys. It says, I had a bit of bad luck, fell after 88 kilometers, took a bend a little too wide, and there was a rock, which I hit with my rear wheel. It threw me off, and suffered a bit of a shoulder injury, but managed to get back, and he finished in 45th place. He's lost an hour and 7 minutes. He's followed by the next South African, Tay Perry, who's 1 hour and 35 minutes back off the leaders, and that's in position 68. Then we have Kirsten Landman in position 74. She's 1 hour 39 back. And then we have Stuart Gregory on position number 97, and he's 2 hours and 9 minutes back.
So very interesting with Tay Perry and Kirsten, the first South African woman to go and do it. And I think it's they really are living the dream. And I think doing bloody well.
Yeah, I think they're doing very well.
Fantastic. Well, it's nice to see them over there. They're participating. They're each in 2 different groups of bikes, so they've got a bit of back-end support. Not like the motor originals or originals by Motor.
Mali Motor.
Mali Motor.
I still prefer Mal
Motor.
They are properly Mali.
It's
I mean,
tough
to go-
enough. I don't know. I haven't worked it out.
I mean, you saw the guys there at the end of sort of day 10, 11. Day 1, 2, 3, they still all got
Strong.
the gears. Day 10 and 11, they are poked, finished, broken. Get off the bike. It's like the Walking Dead. Shovel food in their faces and get going. Admiration.
You know what? I saw an image of Stuart Gregory last year. He had finished the stage, and we were there with Tom Bell. He comes back to his pit area and his motorhome and his few bits and pieces. And as much as you're roughing it in the bivouac, they come back to a steel trommel. That's it.
Yeah.
It's placed. It's there. It's sand. It's in the sun. You got to go. You got to go. That's it. It's the steel trommel, and it's a tough race. So I mean, these oaks make it.
It's absolutely wicked. And talking about back wheels stepping out and hitting rocks.
And then we had...
It was Kevin Benavides, wasn't it? Well, I don't know. Who was the oak who...
Adrian von Beveren on the Monster Energy rider. He had a severe fall 3 kilometers into the stage. And some of you might have seen the video online, but he was going at a pretty big speed. And a bit of a tank slap, and the next minute he was thrown off the bike.
Well, I don't think it was so much a tank slap, Gary. He jumped over something, the back wheel... He went from the sun into the shade, and I wasn't there.
Okay.
I'd ride a scooter,
But anyway,
a bike. But the way that back wheel just kicked out.
Well, fortunately, he was not knocked unconscious, but he had to be attended to by the medical team, and they then transported him via helicopter to the bivouac back at Neome. And then after medical examinations, he was performed on him. He was found to have a right shoulder trauma and a bruised hip. So that's the state he's in. And then, of course, we also had another rider, Xavier Della. I'm going to get this wrong, and I do apologize. Della Sutrate, who also came off his bike. He hurt his wrist, but he did manage to finish the stage.
I think there are many hurt bones in that. And we want to talk about, with Evan, just a little bit about the difference. This is a different Dakar. It's properly
It's changed,
different.
yeah.
Eh?
Look, I think we're expecting something new. It's a new country. There were going to be many changes, but no one really knew what to expect. And so far, it seems they've done a great job. Everything seems to have been, they've upped the ante on everything. You know, the entire setup, the bivouac, the layout, one of the most exciting things for the competitors is the toilets. They've got porcelain toilets.
Porcelain. Terence Marsh has finally gone. Yeah, but the trick, are there enough toilets? And
they've done everything well. Everything seems to have been at a different level. They've upped the antics. There's a whole lot of new rules. They've caught the guys, all the map men and the people that had worked out various advantages and pushed rules to the limits over the years. They'd worked out, as in all racing, we don't cheat. You just push a rule to it.
Until somebody says,
correct.
Well, the line really is there, and you really
I
close.
think
We're going to talk to Rob Howie tomorrow. He was going to be with us tonight, but there were some logistical issues, and Rob's going to talk us through the book as well. But the having the road book. Today was another day where they got the road book half an hour before the start. So as you say, it took out all the map men. The map men must be bleak as hell because they were earning proper euros.
No, it needed to be done. It's leveled the playing field, and I think we can see it by some of these results. You know, it's not what we expected, although that is what we expect from the Dakar. You can't predict it, but I think the terrain,
the unexpected.
Correct. The terrain has been very different. It's been rocky, as we know, but I think severely rocky. I saw some footage of NASA, a small clip of NASA coming up and over and it's just rock. I mean, it's a bed of rock. And
I think that in South America and also here, when it's all rocky, we're used to some form of track, like a vehicle track, not a camel track. And these to me look like they're unused. And they're big, sharp, jagged rocks.
It's lots. It's fields. They're not in.
We might even have a picture of, if Henk can have a look at that. There's a Volkswagen Amarok, and we like that because it comes from Stuart Thompson's W. And I've got to get it right because I say the words in my head. WCT. No, but Don't know. I know he's writing what the abbreviation stands for, but it's a world class
Still
team.
dyslexic.
He wrote world class team there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just gives an idea of the kind of rocks. Hey, Henk, have you got? If you can smash that picture, it'd be brilliant. You might have it in the different format. A picture with a car and rocks is what we're looking for.
On that rock, and with regards to off-road racing, we're all aware we're racing in the unknown.
Yeah. So there's an idea of the rocks.
There you go.
And the edges are sharp. And am I right in that it's not so much the tread that gets cut, but it's the bulge of the sidewall as it comes out?
It's the sidewall that takes. It's very seldom that a rock will pierce through the tread. It's the sidewall. But just the technique of racing off-road is how fast do I go through this unknown. You never know what's in front of you, and you're reading it with your eyes, and you're trying your hardest to try and determine how fast you can go. There's a saying we have in off-road of knowing how slow to go as opposed to how fast to go. So, and when you're in the dirt and dunes and so on, it's a lot simpler. The worst is the rock, because you can go so much quicker and get away with it majority of the time, but that rock can get you. So it's really tricky, and now it becomes this balancing act about how hard do I push, and you'll push until you get one puncher, and then generally you back off a bit.
Back off a little bit, get the second puncher.
Now you start worrying, you start doubting yourself. So it's really tricky, and you can see it's affected times. It's never mind the time of losing the puncher. It starts playing havoc in your mind. You've had 2-3 punches. As much as you tell yourself, forget about it, it's behind me, we carry on, we don't, it bugs you, and it's there, and you're trying to make up for that 2 or 3 minutes that you've lost. And so it's really tricky. Rocks are evil when it comes to off-road. Yeah.
Also, to see what I found quite interesting was the level of years ago, it was changing wheels was a relatively leisurely, disorganized function. Now the latest version on one of the minis that I saw, co-driver gets out, he's got the battery-powered drill, drops the drill for the driver while he's running around, he's got the car jacked up. I'm going to see if we can actually find that video, and it's almost like a track racing, carefully choreographed pit stop to get the wheel changed and lose as little time as possible. Going to the tires, and one of the questions that came up yesterday was, are tires free for everybody? And within the answer to the question is yes and no. Before the race, you choose a tire, and particularly, and the top 30 are the seeded drivers, the elite, if you want to call it that. You declare what your tread pattern is and the size of the tire before you start the race, and you can choose different compounds, 2 compounds out of that. If you're outside of the top 30, you can choose a whole lot. Even the Michelin, BF Goodrich, and the manufacturer of the tires, how much of a learning curve is this for them as well, in terms of the type of rocks and the sharpness or the rockiness of it? How much of a learning curve do you think it is for them as well?
I would imagine it's been a tough couple of days for them. They're racing in new terrain that they weren't aware of. They've predicted, and they've tried to work it out, and obviously it's not working out as planned. So there's a couple of things. You use your driver, he was hitting the rock and missing the rock. There's the pressures that you run in your tires.
That was going to be my question. How sensitive, or what little difference? We know they run probably, I'm told, about 1.8 bar coldish, maybe even a little bit softer than that when it gets, and I'm talking about gravelish, not sand. Let's leave the sand out of it. How much do you need to go up or down to make a big difference on your puncture resistance?
It's a good question. I don't, depending on the various tires, but 0.3, 0.4 will make a big difference to that, but it also makes a big difference to how the tire works for you. So it's the usual story. That tire is the last piece of equipment.
So you can go harder, get away with it, but then you lose the grip. So the tire can't conform.
Correct. You don't get the puncher, which is a puncher's, call it 2 minutes. These guys are doing them in 2 minutes and maybe less. But it's quite easy to lose more than 2 minutes if you've got the wrong pressure. So it's really difficult, and they do a lot of working out what they're going to do and assessment on what and how. And And then if you hit, doesn't matter what tire you got, if you hit the wrong rock going too fast, you're going to get a puncture. And these oaks are pushing; they flat out.
And talking about hitting rocks, the rock that Fernando hit yesterday that removed the left-hand front wheel, that was puncture, and I mean that was the worst case scenario. And again, rocks, Gary. It was who was it who had a bit of a roll today? In the Sheikh Khalid Al Qasimi, following NASA in the dust, and cars going along all nicely in the dust, and then boom, next thing over and about, and one Peugeot destroyed. Thankfully, they're all okay. And those cars are properly strong to be able to handle a 180 kilometer an hour roll like that.
Yeah, once it starts rolling, the pieces will fall off. The cage will keep you safe. But we've seen those.
It's an aircraft crash, eh?
Carlos Sainz rolled his, and it was just shrapnel. They're not made to roll. They roll the wheels, but not roll the car. Yeah.
Just a quick one.
What you got there, Gary?
We got Jan Straden all the way from Tel Aviv. He's watching from his house.
Greetings.
He's saying, how's it? And then young Stree White says, hi, Toppies and Evan.
Sorry I didn't share the link with
my
you, Stewie. I got your message, but there was some things that I was being like a duck, pedaling underneath and trying to be calm on the outside. That ginger can drive, and to see a ginger in a four-wheel drive car, we've got to get there. What else you got, Gary?
Just then, Rob Herring, good evening to you guys and the pigeon. Please explain that for us.
No, I'll leave that for now.
Okay, all right. And then a question from Andrew Horn. Think the road book, half an hour before the start, puts a bit more emphasis on the driver's ability to read the dunes and the rocks. Would you agree with that?
No.
Not the driver. It's got nothing to do with the driver. So it's more to the co-driver, what some people call navigator. I want to call them co-drivers because they're more than just navigators. They're office managers, they're vehicle
doing a whole lot
managers, they're doing a truckload of stuff. The biggest difference that it makes is that it's taken out the so-called additional navigational aids, the Google Earth pictures of, because the map men, I'm told, okay, everything's alleged. They say the map men would draw the ideal route on Google Earth. They would then, for instance, if there's a ravine and the road book says go along here, cross the ravine here, and go along there, they will come up with other landmarks from Google Earth to say, at rock, the third big rock on the right, that's the fast route that goes there. So that there's not just the co-driver sitting with his supposed book. He's got truckloads of other stuff. I have seen large maps
that certain race teams had this done.
I've seen maps in cars. I've seen co-drivers. When they go to a car and they've got huge briefcases.
What's in there?
What do you need to? They don't need Samis. I mean, it's like 3.5 hours the top oaks are driving. What is in there? So anyway, now they haven't got that.
They haven't got it, and
now they've got to follow it. And I think that
you can see it's changed. It's changed a whole lot of things, yeah. So just to answer that question, the rocks and the dunes, that's for the driver. The rocks you're only seeing as you get there. They're not map men on picking that up. And the severity of the dunes, they're not really they're looking for routes, different routes, better routes. They'll look on Google Map, they'll find a split where, because at Dakar you're going from point to point, and how you get to those points is irrelevant. You can go left, you can go right, so they'll go off the route by a kilometer or two in the wrong direction, which loses them time, onto a nice flat out split, and they make up 5 minutes and they come back. So those are the big differences. I mean,
and the other thing that the map men did was to find where you've got a waypoint, to find geographical references for the waypoint.
Yeah.
So
and we're finding a lot more now.
Lost.
Oaks are lost. They're looking for waypoints.
Look at the experience that both Tay Perry and
they didn't have mapping.
I'm talking about losing a waypoint. I'm just mentioning it up because I was writing yesterday's show.
Yeah.
I mean, that interview where they were actually telling you how difficult it was to find a waypoint with the dust that they were having yesterday.
So we're going to pick up more on the books and the navigation tomorrow. The other thing that happened, Vladimir Vassiliev's Mini went to burn. And it's never ever nice seeing a race car burning. So from a results point of view in the cars, and it was very interesting to see things that moving up and down, and Henk has got the stage results, and I think that while you look at the stage results on the screen, of course Carlos wins, Nasser is second, Orlando in the mini third, and then for me, where's my man? He wasn't here. That's overall. Sorry, I've just screwed it up. Yes, I'll tell you what. No, I'm lost now. I really am lost.
What were you looking for, Colin?
The days, that was overall. I was looking for the stage results for today. And my Apple has crashed. So I'm lost. Carlos wins, Nasser, and then Przgonski. Love that name, Przgonski. And he's driven BMWs, Minis, Nissan, and he's now, there you go, there you've got the results. Thank you very much. Janelle de Villiers and Alex Harrow, winners yesterday, ninths. And then Matthew Serradori in the Century.
Brilliant.
What a fantastic run these guys are having. Eh?
I think it's brilliant. It's been a long time.
South African vehicle, eh?
It's been a long time coming. Century Racing have been building cars for a long time, and they've been trying for a long time, and they haven't had much success. They did get some success at the Rally Maroc.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they were disqualified for a weight issue.
Yeah.
But it's they're doing really well.
It looks like they've sort of turned a corner and got the speed and the reliability. I found the thing that I was looking for, bloody production. Gary, in the post-show, the briefing after this, get that production secretary in here and I'm going to kick her ass. Because
I'm just going to make the phone call.
This thing is all foobarred here. Because I had stuff here, Fernando Alonso was 4th, Mark Comer 5th. Alonso 4th.
How's that?
2 minutes, 43 seconds behind Nasser.
There were some people that were really doubting his abilities, and I think the fact that he's running with these Oaks and he's only a year in.
He's less than a year in.
Cool.
We saw his debut in an off-road vehicle earlier this year.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And how absolutely, well,
just
last year, sorry, this year.
Yeah, goes to show.
The confidence that Glyn showed in him. So overall, let's just quickly go. Do you have the overall results there? Carlos, Nasser, Orlando, Janelle in 7th, 23 minutes off. I still have a feeling about Janelle. He's hungry, he's looking fit, he's got that mean look in his eye. Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger are overall 3 hours and 9 minutes behind, and Thomas Bell 43rd. After today's stage, we had a little video from Henny. So if Henk can bring that up and it shows what happened and he has a bit of a chat. Henk, can you play that for us, please? He said, yes, I can. I heard him say, yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, hi everybody. So end of stage 3. Tough day in office today. In the beginning it went well, lots of sand, not huge, just river crossings, dry river beds. We had a great, we were running very well. Lots of big canyons, unbelievable scenery, big mountains in here, driving in these canyons. Obviously all river beds, thick sand, but I must say we were doing very well. We caught up a couple of cars. In the beginning it was quite dusty, but we picked up cool, didn't push, brought it to the canyons, cleared up, we caught a lot of cars. Then one of the canyons split and we made a navigation error, we right instead of left, and 2 kilometers later we realized that we had to come back and we lost a lot of positions. But then the last section, the last 103 kilometers of the liaison was extremely rocky. Really, I haven't seen so many rocks in a long time. And we had one puncture, and I linked one tire to another competitor, and we only had one spare wheel left, so we took it slow. But also the car took a lot of hammering, lots of big rocks, lots of sidewall risk and so forth. So we took it easy, and 29 overall so far. I saw the results when it came in, but it's not final yet. So we're happy that it was a tough day. 427 kilometers, I haven't felt that long in a long time. My shoulders and my back, everything is sore at the moment. So a big rest and we'll go.
I tell you what, they're having a proper run, and the Redline guys who've built those cars, the thing, and I know you've got a Redline hat, so you might be a little bit biased, but I'm biased in that we've got a South African team that has built a vehicle to deliver some race drivers' dreams of finishing Dakar.
And they're doing a great job, and not only this year, for the last couple of years.
He was rookie. Was it last year?
2
years ago.
Yeah. 2 years ago, he was. Look, he can go. There's no doubt. I'm not biased to Redline. I'm biased to South African cross country racing.
And there's nothing. What a cracker of a season, cross country racing, guys. It's kind of been a bit of a secret. So we've been to, as Raceday.tv, we've been to couple of races and had a bit of a look-see behind the scenes and got that gees for cross-country racing. So all of you oaks who are watching Dakar now, the world's most competitive cross-country series ever in the history of the world is right here in South Africa. I'm not blowing smoke. I mean, it's for realsies.
Simple.
The Brazilian champion, what's his name? Portuguese name. But he comes over here and he drives a Ford, and this is the Brazilian national champion, and he got into the podium first time out in Paris. So I think that just gives you an indication of it. When you've got Janil who runs and
came second in South Africa.
Janil,
yeah, he came second in the championship, not even first. I mean, one would imagine a guy of that caliber, you should walk away with it. So not only are the guys right up there in racing with him, but he actually came second in the year. We've got guys who can beat him.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's an incredible championship.
So we watch this space. We'll go. Have you got any more questions and queries and stuff? Is anybody?
Yes.
Is anybody there?
Yes. Just Andrew. Sorry, no.
What is Andrew Horn?
No. He said he feels like a bit of a Philistine when it comes to off road.
Doesn't matter. Andrew, you're not. You go off road plenty enough in your racing car. You've great experience in it. I joke. Andrew's a great driver. They in another one of our favourite series, South African endurance. Off-road series, in South African endurance series. Some of them are more off-road than others.
Rob Herring just comments on you. Without the mapmen, it's more like the tulip notes as opposed to pace notes in rallying.
The what notes?
Tulip notes. You know what they are. Explain them to us.
The picture determines what's happening in front of you. So you're working with pictures and you're deciphering from a diagram.
You might even have a picture there, Henk. Have you got a picture of that map book? Or is it, no, we haven't.
Yeah.
That's keyed for tomorrow. Should we leave that for tomorrow, Rob?
Yeah.
Come back. When you said tulips, I was thinking about all the dead oaks from the Second World War. Those are poppies.
Yeah, the pictures. It's just my picture.
Tulips is not Second World War. That's the Vietnamese War. Because the Americans were growing tulips so that they could make
Wasn't it the Hollands that were growing the tulips?
No, poppies. Anyway, poppies. Guys, give me a break. Give me a break.
Very good.
We're
Now you're on
getting
the
there.
right track.
So some of the other things we just in the Dakar that makes it exciting. Look, just going to where we are in overall. NASA's 6 minutes behind. Janil 23 minutes behind. It's day 3. It's a long race. The king of the dunes, the surfer of the dunes, Nassau Latia, hasn't really had a chance to unleash that beast on the dunes yet.
No, he hasn't. He's keeping up with Carlos at the moment. But if you watch during the course of the day, the splits, this is just where they ended up. But if you watch, everyone's having a chance to lead. And we were talking earlier about getting lost. All the top oaks are getting lost.
All getting lost, yeah.
So you got all of them. And that's something we're not used to. That never used to happen.
But I think that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
It must be difficult to find the points.
It's always been difficult.
Yeah, but it must be difficult.
But it wasn't difficult for everybody. Now it's become difficult for everybody. So
Look,
some guys
it is alleged. It has never been proven
correct.
that there have been extraneous maps in the cars or extra maps in the cars. But 2 things have happened. One, there's a little black box that your cell phone goes in, and that gets sealed. So that takes out that rumor The other one is that the book gets delivered to you late. So that takes away
That's it. Go and race.
any kind of
Equal
room.
playing field. It's a brilliant. I think it's brilliant. They've talked about it for a while. They're only doing it on selected stages. I think it's sort of 50%.
Of them, yeah.
My guess is that David Castella's come with a whole lot of new ideas and a big stick, and they're going to see how it's working. But it's creating great racing. It's fair racing, which is probably the most important. And they'll see how it goes this year. And you might find next year that that's just the norm. Each morning you'll get your...
You've got to, sometimes you don't, when you make a big change, you've got to do it in two or three steps. I want to talk a little bit about the bivouac. You've spoken to your people in the bivouac, and as always, an army marches on its food, and you've got, on its stomach, that it needs some food, so fuel for the people. Breakfast this morning, courtesy of, this was what Terence Marsh stuck down his neck this morning. And you can see it's quite a substantial, for Terence, that's like a snack, isn't it?
That was one of them, yeah. I don't know how many he had.
Because in theory, you're not supposed to go back for more, but there's always theory and practice. So he's got his cornflakes, he's got his eggs and his toast and his apple. Healthy boy.
Perfect. The food there is incredible.
I thought it was lekker.
All the meals are good. There's more than enough food. I don't know how it's an incredible show that they put on with the amount of food and fruit and drinks. And the last drum used to have beer. I don't know if they have that anymore. I don't know what the outcome was. I don't think there is. But anyway,
they had beer when I was there 3 years ago. They had beer.
They have beer
at the end.
in Supper. Yeah. It's just in Saudi. I don't think. I'm not too sure.
Oh, Saudi Arabia.
I don't think that.
I made the mistake. I went to the east and I sat, in fact, with Sasha Martinengo. We were there. I've got to tell the story because, how to put your foot in it. So we're driving with Michelin, driving some cars around in north of Dubai, and we come at the end of a hot day. What do you want at the end of the hot day?
A cold beverage.
Yeah, exactly. So we're sitting in this palace that one of the sheikhs decided just to build. And of course, being a tourist spot, there was beer there. So I'm a bit adventurous. And if I go to Cape Town, I'll drink a Jack Black beer. So you choose the beer of the local beer.
Of the region, yeah.
So I say to the waitress, I'll have, what's the local beer here? There's not too many breweries around there. Anyway,
Castle.
No, not too many breweries. So that brings us very nicely to tomorrow.
Just before we go to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have another South African, an honoured man, an adventurer, playing over in Dakar, and that is young Michael Horn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and unfortunately they got a massive penalty today, nearly 12 minutes, or is that 12 hours? They finished in 39th position, and they're 22 hours behind the rest of the field. And what actually happened, he's driving in the car partnering with Cyril Dupre, and they had a standstill for 7 dozen minutes at kilometer 273 of the special, where the buggy's engine overheated and they had to wait for assistance to arrive. So they were running in the top 10, unfortunately dropped all the way out. But
the version I got from it is the engine went to broken and they had to wait for the service thing to put a new engine in.
Yeah.
Which you can do, but then you get truckloads of penalties.
That's where the penalty came from.
Yeah, the penalties on Dakar. So tomorrow, what is happening tomorrow? They leave from Neom to Al Ula. Interesting stage. So you can see the map there. Now the green route is the route that the assistance vehicles will take, and the red route is the racing route. The dots in the beginning is the liaison at the beginning, and then liaison at the end. Interesting because the two routes cross each other, and where in effect you're not allowed to service a car on a Dakar race while it is on the route, unless the service route and the race route cross. So for sure, the guys are going to be set up their little service points. And we have some pictures of what goes into one of these service vans that typically goes to the end of a stage. They should have the full big service truck of there. And the guys at Redline sent us the picture of the bakkie. Have you got a video, same. And hopefully the sound will work. If you can hear the sound, please just put in the comment there, sound is lekker. because I think it does work. So Henk, will you play it for us?
Okay, so a quick look at the support vehicle, the technical guys. So inside here we've got Graham Thornton together with Duncan Thursby. They really are support. They will follow all the race car to the start of the stage, as well as meet them at the end of the stage. So we have a couple of spare wheels on top. You know, should have been a really bad stage, and they've had punches, some sand tracks if we have to go in deep, and have some sand issues and trying to get out. And then through here, courtesy of our partners at Front Runner, we've got all the necessary spares that we have. So Graham will take us through exactly what we carry.
So basically we've got some parts and some tools in case they need assistance, where we are allowed to assist the crew, and help them out when need be. And some creature comforts like sleeping bags and tents and things like that. Also some fuel.
Yeah, we have fuel, we have water on board, we have an inflation system if we have to drop the tire pressures on the car. So fuel, water, and then as Graham said, a whole lot of boxes of spares. So basically a mobile workshop which is then utilized as a support vehicle during the Dakar.
Always good to be properly organized when you go to a stage. Now that little bucky, that's the one typically that will go out to, it's a kind of a chase bucky, go out to the end of the stage, welcome a car back, and chase it back into the follow back into the bivouac. So tomorrow at that service point, I'd imagine they'd have the proper big vehicles.
I think because it's crossing the route and the whole bivouac is moving, everybody's going there. They'll probably have some bigger assistance if they have the opportunity.
And they might have a small neutral area.
Yeah, well, if it's a designated service area now, so they will be there. I don't know how far they'll have the distances. They'll still have time to get back to the bivouac and set up ready for the cars to arrive.
Just a quick one, just to answer your question. A couple of guys out there did say sound is absolutely perfect.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's just Henk. What a man! He said his comment, and because Henk lives in my ear.
Yeah.
And he says, I knew it. Guys, we've put a lot of effort in upgrading our tech and getting stuff, and we've come from days of tin cans and string, and it's getting a hell of a lot of fun. So that's tomorrow. Now, while they wait for the vehicles to come, you've got another picture of this is how Redline wait for vehicles when they're on their way. It's a video, video, moving pictures. Duncan
This
says,
here is the other support vehicle, which is a Y62 Nissan Patrol, my favorite car by far. It's Duncan just basking in the sun as we wait for the guys to finish stage 3. So inside here we have all the communication, sat phones, our trippy, the engineer, he sleeps for most of the day, so that he's having a nap. And then inside of here trippy, which is used for the satellite tracking. We have another tracking device up there, which is the Saudi Arabian guys tracking us. Local phone with a Saudi Arabian number, two-way radio, satellite phone, which the race car has, and then the truck back at the bivouac also have. So yeah, and then here again, courtesy of Front Runner, we've got our little shading that comes off, and then obviously a spade for recovery, and then some sand tracks again, you know, if we're having to recover ourselves. So yeah, that's my Nissan Patrol Y62, which is the same as what I drive back home. I absolutely love these machines.
so the trippy, the famous trippy, that thing is just...
What is it? Was that the little yellow box?
That's the
you
yellow
saw?
box,
Okay.
and we'll talk about that with Rob tomorrow. And the speed, part of the rules of the whole lot is that there's speed limits that everybody's got to go, and they're now allowed to do 130. So the trippy will and it's a two-way thing, so it records your speed. And if you go faster than 130, you get pinged, as Terence said there. But 130 on the trippy is not necessarily where, depending on the exact trippy that you've got. It might be that your trippy only pings you at 9 k's an hour quicker than the limit. We had, there are many stories about pushing trippy to the limit without getting. Don't you wish you were there?
Yeah.
I mean, that just, the smell of the dust, the sound of the cars.
Look, I wish I was racing. I wish I was there.
Aren't you too old to race? I mean, you must be, how old are you now? A lot.
I'm just old enough to race. There's no youngsters in the sport. It's all old, wise men. Have you seen all the racing drivers there? All old and wise.
Yeah, okay.
You're talking about that. You once built that 4x4 little buggy.
Yeah, the Revo. Yeah.
Okay, would that ever have done anything great in something like this Dakar?
Yeah, it would have been brilliant. It wouldn't have been allowed to race because it was. They brought rules in after we there were rules around, but it would have done really well. Yeah, it would have done quite well. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And for this year, what are you up to going forward this year?
I'm going to be involved with SACS,
South African
Cross
Cross-Country
Country Racing Series. I will be the route director and involved with a couple of other things, just trying to keep the sport.
What does a route director do?
He makes routes.
It's like officials. What do officials do?
They're official.
The route. The most important part of the race is where they race, the route.
Okay.
The actual route. So get involved in getting some new routes and keeping the routes challenging, exciting, interesting.
I believe you went to test rivers in Botswana recently.
Yeah. The desert. They call it a desert. There was a lot of water. Yeah. We raced there.
That's why they call them rivers.
Talking about desert, and big shout out to Michael, Stephen, and Paul Hill. They're racing in the Dubai 24 hours, and it's raining.
And Brad Liebenberg and Simon Murray.
Jeez. Simon, the silver bullet. That's why he's not home yet.
They all of them are driving in those. Paul Hill and them are driving Aston Martin. Simon Murray and them are driving in a Ginetta G55.
Which is basically the GT4.
GT4 car, yeah.
Which is not as much as a GT3.
No.
Okay, well, good luck. And anyway, it's raining there. So going forward, you're the route director this year. When is the first South African cross-country series race? Marchish?
Yeah.
Okay, so around about March, we'll bring it to you. But
I should know the date.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spring it on you. I mean,
I don't have them in my head, but it's closer than normal.
Yeah, so it's closer than normal. We will share when the date is and when the cross country. But actually, you see, one of us came prepared.
You got it.
It's on the 28th of
February
and the 29th of February.
Correct.
Because this is a leap year, and that is the Mpumalanga 400 in Mpumalanga. That's why it's called and 400 because it's roundabout, because it sounds lekker.
400 kilometers.
And it's about 400 k's, and it's a qualifying race on the Friday, and then race like hell on Sunday. 2 laps of 200 kilos.
160, 170, somewhere there.
Lovely stuff.
Tough, tricky little race. It's in Dahlstrom. Beautiful race to go and watch if you're interested. You'll be able to watch Janelle de Villiers.
And we'll be able to watch, and his name's just gone straight out of my head, our reigning South African champion, Henk Latergan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the youngest SA champion. Beat Janelle. That's how quick this oak is. And he's also made a shift, a mind shift because some say that the vehicle stopped against the earth quite a lot. And now he's made that shift and he's grained himself in and he's bloody quick.
He's come of age.
Right, that's it for day. Gary, you got more.
Yeah, one last one.
There are people out there. Thanks for watching, guys.
To Johan Etzebeth. Wie is DO in the middle? DO is?
Evan Hutchison.
Now you got it, you see. And then
Evan is a legend from cross-country racing in South Africa. And from various other places. He's also a South African champion rally driver, South African champion cross-country driver. What else are you champion at?
Quads.
Multiple champion, quads.
Yeah.
So you're a cross-disciplinary champion. well known at the higher ground for champion of the stool there. And he's actually a damn nice guy, and he knows a lot, and he can talk.
I just love the sport. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. And the biggest thing you've got, I wish we could have more people with the gees for the positiveness of South African racing. Because actually, race all across track, all forms of track racing, bikes, off-road, drags, cross-country, racing is brilliant in South Africa.
It is. We've had a couple of good months, and I think since we had the endurance race at Kyalami, that 9 hours was just incredible, and we've gone from there to Dakar. I mean, to have guys winning a bike stage and a car stage, I don't know the statistics, but I think there's 25% of the cars at Dakar built in South Africa.
Yeah. No, it's a little bit more than that.
So yeah,
It's 42%.
something incredible. We've got cars, 4 or 5 cars in the top 10 built in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got something around you all the time, it's common knowledge. You don't realize it because you're living with it, but it's unbelievable.
Didn't we say yesterday there was about 25 or 30 Toyotas that were built here?
Yeah.
That in total racing, some of them are very older cars.
Yeah, there's
But-
27 Toyotas,
yeah.
2 Amaroks, and
2 Nissans,
you
And
see 2 Nissans, a Century, and in actual fact, because our production department are so good. Guys, thank you production for doing all this work for us. There are 28 South African Toyotas, 2 Amaroks, a Century, and there's also the Can-Ams are being built to the same design here by Stuart at world-class racing team.
One thing I noticed when I was there last year is you sit and chat to people and they ask where you're from, not knowing America, Australia, and you say South Africa. The sort of ears pick up because we've had the Alfie Coxes, the Janelles. No one knows about South Africa, but they know all about South African races. And if you arrive there as a South African, people listen because they generally do really well. And I think
they're going to know again now. Janelle
there we go.
is the only guy to win on all 3 continents.
Correct.
And also to participate in all 3 continents.
No.
South African.
South African, yeah. No. But I'm
talking about
talking about
driver.
he's the only
Winning
driver
stages, yeah.
in the world
Yeah.
who's won on all three continents,
generations,
which
yeah.
is
Well, he's still got to win this one, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's a big ask.
Okay.
And I still say, having seen how sharp Janelle is looking, Oaks don't actually realize how good that guy is and how wise and the empathy that he has with a car.
No, he's got a great chance. You've got to believe it.
And look, there's,
What is he, 20? What is he behind?
He's 28
26?
minutes behind.
So 28 minutes with we've still got 10 days of racing,
Yeah.
and it's just
23 minutes, not 28.
Yeah.
So you can win by 5 then.
that can be getting
That's
lost
doable.
once.
No, it's probably
Yeah.
doable.
That's
There were towards the end of race a year ago, an hour 15-minute gaps being made.
Yeah.
Patience. It's a long race. It's brilliant.
Just a heads up to everybody, including the guys behind the walls and everything else out like that from Coral Barnard. Finally, a Dakar chat channel. Thanks, guys. Appreciate this.
A Dakar chat. Oh, great. Glad you can add any questions, anything. Tomorrow we will have Rob Howie, who is another legend, another
Really?
South African legend, a proper legend.
Doesn't he have a win under his belt in his position?
I think he does,
When
but he's
Janelle
also
was with another racing team, if I'm not mistaken.
production
We'll find out.
haven't given us his notes, but he's driven with he's won South African championships with different drivers.
Yes.
And that is, whenever you win
In
a
cars
championship with either a different car or different drivers, or when the environment changes
Yeah.
and you still win, then you're properly good. Oh, and he's a nice guy and he likes
and
beer.
he's a navigator, and he builds cars on the underside. It'll be a great
Yeah.
chat. So any questions you want on the technical side?
Yeah, he can. So if you've got anything about, you'll see one of the cars was withdrawn just before the start of the race. When it was a Ford F-150,
Yeah.
Martin Prokop's teammate, they rolled it. And they had to withdraw it.
Yeah, they
Not
can.
because you can find replacement crew. People are easy, but the cage was damaged.
Yeah, and they couldn't get another cage into that car. Well, you can't put
Well,
another
one-
cage
Yeah,
into
it was,
those
it
things.
was compromised, they call it,
Yeah.
and the officials come and have a look, and they got to make the call because the passion of the driver himself will not give you a clear decision. So obviously there was some damage here, and they decided that.
It can be damaged, but you need the licensed cage welder to repair it. To the satisfaction of the organisers.
It wasn't repairable. You can, and there's certain
Look,
things
that thing was FUBAR. Eh?
Some things you can have damage and you can weld, but when it becomes the integral structural roll cage that gets damaged, the main hoops and things, that's when it becomes an issue. And then to fix it properly, it takes 2 or 3. You've got to strip the car.
And I want to talk to him as well about the fuses around the suspension. And think of that. If you can come up with a meaning of the fuses, write it in the comments, and we'll mention it tomorrow.
Just to answer,
so have the chat room woken up?
Yeah, no.
Jeez,
Johan Esterbith, he dialed in the middle late. That's why he wanted to know who the dude in the middle was. But he's just asked us, any female South African drivers in the Dakar?
No.
No, we don't have drivers, but there are 2 South African riders on bikes doing a sterling job at the moment.
Yeah, rookies.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely brilliant. Right, let's wrap it up and let's prepare. As Pinky said to Brain, let's prepare for tomorrow. And we certainly will try and take over the world. Big thank you, Evan, for joining us at such short notice, number one, and right at the tail end of your holiday. We really, really do appreciate it. You are always welcome whenever you need to feel the need to let off some of your knowledge. You're welcome in the studio, and thank you very much for joining us. Gary, thank you for looking after the chat room. Chat room and viewers, thank you very much for your participation. This whole YouTube thing, we're getting used to it. It's fun and games. Join us tomorrow, Henk, in the control room and in my ear. Thank you so much for the hard graft that you put in there. It's absolutely magnificent. Before the end of this Dakar, we're going to do we'll show you our workshop and show you our Henk's cockpit where he hangs and does his stuff. Thank you very much for watching us. Join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock South African time for the next episode, the next stage of Dakar 2020. Be lekker, be safe, and have fun. We're out of here. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao.